Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Capital to the Coast BNI. My name is Mike Manning. Each week, we bring you a local small business success story from one of our 36 chapters, ranging from the Triangle, which is Raleigh, Durham, and Chapel Hill, all the way to New Bern and Jacksonville and Greenville and points in between. If you are not familiar with BNI, it is the largest business networking international, is the largest networking organization. And our goal each week as members in our chapter is to help each other grow our businesses. And our local small business success story this week is Michael J. Solar, owner of the Solar Effect. He is a business consultant. He's a member of RD21. They meet Monday mornings in Clayton at 8:30. And so if you're ever in the area and want to meet some good business owners, some good people to help you grow your business, please do. Michael, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, man,
Appreciate it.
glad to have you here. So we're going to learn a lot today, folks. Not only is Michael a business consultant, he is a franchisee, nationally recognized franchisee. He
Zor.
is,
Zor.
excuse me, Zor. Yes, yeah,
Zor.
franchisor. Thank you for that. Uh, Former Marine, former police officer. So we're going to learn a lot about structures and systems here. So, all right, Michael. Let's start. So we got two groups of people today. One is people already in business, and one is people thinking about going into business. So let's start with the people that are already there. We generally want to start a business to create a lifestyle for ourselves. We're trying to tired of working for whoever. We want to set our own schedule. We know our craft. We've just never put it into a business model usually. So the mindset for the people that are already in business to help reach their goals is what?
You're gonna probably be shocked with the answer, but the answer is no. So when you learn the strength of the word no compared to the word yes, your business will grow, your life will grow, and your time will grow. So when we think about that, we go, how does that work? That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. But you stated it already. When you stated we got into business for these factors, well, we got into business for one main reason, to give ourselves freedom, spend time doing things that we want to do, with whom we want to do it, the way we want to do it, how we want to do it. And the focus is that, right? So a lot of times what happens is we go ahead and we experiment with saying yes to everything to make money. And we think money is the solution to all those things, and we sacrifice all the things that we want. So the way to solve that is to keep focusing on the things that we want to do, being able to spend time with our wives, our kids, be able to take more vacations. Well, that means you have to be able to say no to bad customers, bad deals, things that are just going to take your time, and make sure that you never lose track of the value that you put in place.
And for new, let's say, first time business owners, saying turning down, firing a client is like, whoa, 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 Michael, hang on. If I fire this one, then I'm down to whatever. Like, and I know what you're going to say to them. So, how would you explain to somebody that firing a client is actually, that firing the right client is actually a positive thing to do?
So, firing the right client is the number one thing to do. Like I just said, the answer is no. I have started multiple businesses. Right now, I'm a sitting CEO of about 5 different companies. And with that being said, I work with the people right hand, the people I'm partnered with, to tell them how to say no to people that are causing stress, causing problems, because they're not seeing how much time and effort they're losing instead of saying no to that person so they could say yes to the right person. It's the most crucial thing to learn how to do is have the confidence in yourself to say, hey, if this person's already stressing me out, asking me to do stuff outside of my boundary, then I already know this person is going to nickel and dime me to death and put me out of business. So the most important thing is to say no. So it frees your time up and your availability to say yes to the right person that you can truly care for, truly give them all that you're good at. That way they prosper, which means you prosper.
And a lot of my analogies are sports related, and business owners always have to be recruiting new clients. You just always have to be out on the lookout
Absolutely.
because we don't know who's leaving us for whatever reason, whenever. Will that make that decision easier if they have a pipeline of potential new clients that are pretty far down the road? Does that make that decision easier to fire that client?
Obviously, yes, right? If you have a pipeline and it's full of people, it's a lot easier to say no, right? Or I don't want to work with you anymore, knowing that there's a pipeline. The fear factor is the scarcity mindset where your pipeline isn't full and you're scared that if you don't make this sale, then you're out of business. You're not going to have the money to go forward. You're not going to be able to pay your bills. You're not going to be able to do all those things. You had brought up sports. So here's a key is that you have to recruit your clientele and immerse them in your brand. And sports are really good at this, but the number one system out there for recruiting business is the military. So if you're ever wondering how to market, you market by copying Army, Navy, Marine Corps commercials because they are literally recruiting and selling every day of the week. They're constantly looking to get people within their brand. And then you can see how they immerse people from the get go. They give them water cups, they give them t shirts, they get them rocking and rolling. And then when you're even out of the service, your number one recruiter is past veterans, people that have left the military, people that are no longer in the Marine Corps, people that are retired. They already served. And what are they wearing? Their
Mm.
Army shirts, their Marine Corps shirts. They're telling stories about their time there. That means the military has spent time immersing people and getting them to love that brand, that military branch. And we see that in sports, right? So if back when I was a kid, I was a huge Larry Legend fan. So wearing Boston was a thing. I immersed myself into the Boston Celtics, which learned why they don't wear Boston on their jerseys and all these kind of things. But the Laker Celtic rivalry. Then you look at the Knickerbockers right now, the New York Knicks, how they
Mm.
won a championship. You see everybody buying their merchandise. It is a neat way of thinking about how immersion can really build your recruiting pipeline.
So let's go back to the business owner who knows they need to fire that client for whatever reason. Is there a reason why they should try to mend that relationship first?
So for me, it's a self analysis, right? So the first thing I always look at it is what am I going to lose if I keep this person in? That's the first thing I look at every time. If I keep working with this person, am I going to have stress relief? Am I going to have more free time? Or am I getting rid of anxiety? If the answer is to no to any one of those, sometimes it's better to end the relationship on a good term of just saying, hey, we're just not the right fit for each other. Because again, it doesn't make them bad and it doesn't make you bad. It just makes it that you're not the right fit. They always say you can't put a square inside of a circle or a circle inside of a square, but the truth be told is you can take a circle brick and put it within the square shape, right? The problem is it's not a perfect fit. There's a lot of gap when you put it in there, the four corners. And just because it fits doesn't mean it's the right scenario for you. And that's how you have to look at those things. I know it's scary to let go of a customer, especially when sales are low. But remember, you took on a customer, it's going to take twice the amount of time, that's not going to see your value. And then because of that, you're unable to truly invest in the right people. And that right person was just around the corner, but that right person also doesn't want to deal with the wrong people either. So if you're dealing with those wrong people, they're having an influence on you. And then when you move to the next section, that person is now dealing with you in a bad spot and they're not going to want to work with you either. So that no is ultimately the most freeing thing you can do for yourself to open up your pipeline, if that makes any sense.
It does. And you hit on one of the topics that I like working with, talking with business owners is finding the people that value your product or service because they are much likely to stay with you for a longer period of time. And I always ask people, so because we're all consumers, what do we buy every week or every month because we appreciate the value of the product or service and it solves a problem for us?
Yeah, I would tell you to change that mindset right off the top. There is no such thing as a need. That was one of my number one things that I figured out a long time ago. There is no such thing as a need. When somebody says they need something, that means they have already been sold a belief of a want and they did it to themselves. See, we want things. We want everything. What your objective is to fulfill the wants and to create the want. So that literally is the key. And this is the easiest trick to remember. Want is a four-letter word, WANT. Need is a four-letter word, NEED, which means the sentence can you flip flop those words and still have the same thing.
Yep. And I agree with you because the need is a lot of times. Now, hang on a second and see. All right. So we buy a product or service that makes our life easier. Let's
Which is
say
a want.
right. So I hire a landscaper because I'm tired of cutting my grass. That's a big time one.
Right.
But so let's go daily, even drop it down like to toothpaste, oil in the
Yeah,
car, things like that. So we know we need that, but how do we look at what the want is to make our business or life better?
that's right. So you'll sit there and say, well, we need toothpaste. Technically, there's always going to be a holistic, very cheap, affordable way of doing it, right? But what we want is the convenience of the tube. So then what do? We look at the marketing strategies. If you go to a toothpaste brand, there is nothing different in any toothpaste brands whatsoever. No
Mhm.
difference in any of them. You look at all the ingredients, they're exactly the same. But you'll see products that will sit there and say that has bubblegum flavor for kids. This one has this one has that. So what they're doing is they're solving the want of I don't want my kid to annoy me for brushing their teeth, so I buy the toothpaste that says for kids with bubblegum flavor,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
So it's the want that you're solving for. We didn't need phones until somebody created it and told us about the convenience. We didn't need cell phones until they created it and then told us that we wanted it.
Yeah.
And I'm old enough to remember cell phones not existing and being stuck on the kitchen floor while talking to a friend on a phone. Nowadays, we have 10-year-olds and 11-year-olds walking around with cell phones and they say they need them.
Mm,
Well, we don't need
no.
any of them. We want them, and we love the convenience of having the technology directly in the palm of our hand to do all these amazing things and be connected to people throughout the world. But that is a want, and hence why you'll see Apple come out with a new version every year, telling you how there's a better
Mm,
camera, better storage. They moved the button 3 centimeters down for your grip. Google Pixel's coming out with a different one, and so on and so forth. They're changing. Oh, we have the colors now. It's blue. Well, now I got to get a new one because I want blue. I don't need blue, but I want blue, and they're going to sell it to you. Make sense?
yep, it does. All right, so perfect transition time to the person thinking about starting their own business. Now, the first question they have to answer for themselves is, what do people want that I do? Is that the right question?
That's the question.
Okay.
Yeah, and if they don't want it now, how do I create it?
See, sometimes we as business owners need to tell people, you really need to hire me.
Yeah. It's the how do I create the want? Like you said earlier about landscaping. I don't want to cut my grass, so I hire a landscaper. So then the question comes into is how do you pick the right landscaper? It could be because they have a really cool name. It could be because they remove all the clippings. It could be because they show up in uniforms. It could be
Mhm.
affordability. But those are all different wants, right? And you as a business owner, when you're starting this, you have to ask yourself, where do you want to be? Do I want to be the white glove service? Do I want to be the low end service, right? So I'll give you an example of the two. Target and Walmart. So Target has the dollar section and Target has the $5 section. So you're at two different classes. So if you go to a Walmart, you're going to see things in the dollar bin and it's not going to be as cleanliness in your mind, right? The lights are slightly dimmer, the colors are a little bit more fatigued, right? Because you know you're getting a deal. You're getting cheap,
Yes.
right? Then you go to Target and you'll notice that the colors are brighter, the lights are brighter, and things are a little bit more in appearance cleanly, like a little bit more. They're both clean. They're both, they're not, there's not one or the other, but the imagery of it is there. Then you take Nordstrom, for example, or a Macy's, and you're going to see another, but they're all selling shelf space for multiple products. And that's what they're selling. So all these different products are there, but they've decided what service they're going to give you and what the price for that service would be. And when you're building a business, you're first getting into it, you have to ask yourself, who do I want as my customer? And then what does that customer expect when they pay that price?
Yeah. And I'm a I shop at Walmart. So I work from home, so I do all the shopping. My wife and I put a list together and I go shopping. I love Walmart I go to there for the prices. I stay for the scenery because airports and Walmarts are the two best places I could ever sit and watch people. Uh, so I appreciate that because I know what I'm going to get. I'm going to get the products I want. I don't mind great value. I don't mind their generic ones because that works for me. So when you started your first business or businesses, how did you discover and when did you discover the want part of it?
Yeah, that was so when I was 16, I started my first company called Solar's Cleaning Service. It was a carpet cleaning company. And I wanted restaurants as my customers because restaurants pay the most with the least amount of effort, right? So I was 16 years old. I had to do this in my off hours because I was still technically in high school, so I had to go to school. So getting a restaurant was the key. So I met a business owner who owned a restaurant called Muggsy's Bar and Grill, and his number one complaint was that the carpet cleaning was a 5-day process for him at his place because they can only clean small sections at a time because of the drying, how long it took to dry the stuff. So I created a dry carpet cleaning and I was able to do his entire restaurant in 4 hours and they were able to reset all of the tables right as I was finishing. So once I was done, the entire restaurant was back open. So because of that, he paid me 3 times the amount of money that the other carpet cleaning company was charging because they were a steam cleaner. And I realized that what I did was fulfilled the problem that he had, which was he had to close his half of his restaurant uh, for sections over an entire week, costing him more money. So for him to pay me 3 times the amount of the cost for the carpet cleaning still saved him a ton of money. And from there on out, I knew for a fact what my goal was. Because A, he then turned around, told all of his friends, and it gave me the entire Seaside Heights boardwalk. I
Wow.
had literally the entire every restaurant and small casino thing on all over Seaside Heights during that time frame. And it was like, how did you get those? Well, I just created a simple solution to what their main problem was. They were losing money because they couldn't put their tables back down. Because if they put their tables back down while it was wet, it would rust them.
Yep.
So because I can clean the carpets dry, carpet clean them, I use the degreaser, which clean their carpets even better than the steamer company did. They were able to knock it out faster. They were able to put more money in their pocket by able to open up faster. And then there on out, I was just like, hey, what was the key here? And I said, well, I'm lazy. And if I could solve for lazy, which means how do I get the most for the least, then I win, right? From there on out, I did it with everything. Never changed.
But you provided him a solution. It came through the service of cleaning carpets, but you truly offered him a solution to a big problem he was having or a frustrating problem he was
Yeah.
having.
And ironically, my solution was an accident. So I didn't start out in steam cleaning. I was when I went and learned all about 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 all about.
Oh, there he is. He's back.
Was that?
Yeah, we had echo saying, so start again.
Oh, I said when I started out with carpet cleaning, I had to learn all about it. And steam cleaning made no sense whatsoever to me because underneath your carpet is a sponge. It's the padding.
Yeah.
So if you dump a bunch of water on there, that sponge then absorbs it and it makes your carpet essentially soaked forever. And it made no sense because you cannot literally extract the amount of water that you're spraying down. It's impossible. So it made no sense. So me and my cousin, we started learning that we could do dry carpet cleaning using brushes, which scrubs the carpet. We're able to put the shampoo and it never went below the carpet because we didn't saturate it. So because of that, it was able to clean the top layer of the carpet, never got to your padding. And we were able to use things that were degreasing. So more of the visual stuff, the stuff on the top that we're messing up, never got to your padding. So it made more sense for all of us. And we were able to sell it really quickly because we're able to get in and out of your house quicker. We have less damaging. And I was able to do apartment buildings because I can get my hose. I didn't have a hose. I just bring the machine up the different stairs. So that was where it started. It was because we can get more customers because we could do apartment buildings where steam cleaning companies can't.
Yep.
So we were able to do more for those factors. And then when I went to the restaurant world, this was such a useful thing for them. But because of his reaction is when it dawned on me that I was literally solving a problem that they were having. It wasn't meant that. I didn't do it on purpose. Like, I wasn't that smart. I was a teenager. I was just trying to make some money, and I noticed that I just couldn't work for people. It didn't work. So that's what it came back as.
Well,
And
and
it
that's
was a
another
it,
thing as small business owners, we're like, oh, well, let's say you carpet cleaning, perfect example. There's 200 other carpet cleaners just in the triangle alone, at least. Some
okay.
official, some unofficial, stuff like that. And I don't know that we take enough time to say what differentiates me from my competitors.
So, oh, that's a great example of something I always like to talk about. Don't worry about it. Don't even look at your competitors. Matter of fact, the best advice you can ever get is to never look at anybody within your market. Establish your own value, establish your core
There you go. There you go.
I never look at other dog training companies when I started Blue Line. I never looked at other carpet cleaners when I was doing carpet cleaning. I do not look at CRM companies that are doing what I do now. I do not look at consultants. My tribe and what I'm building will attract the people to me with what I'm building. Simple as that. If I'm looking at all my competitors, then I'm going to become my competitor. And that means I'm no different than what they are. And we learn that from looking at Apple, Amazon, Disney, Google, Facebook. You look at all these massive companies, they didn't have anything to compare to, which means they could not essentially fall victim to it. So in your business, don't look at what other people are doing. Look at what you're doing and how you can be better at it each and every day. And that's the best advice you can ever get when it comes down to making a decision on how you're doing it. When you look at your competitors and you look at their marketing, then you're not establishing yourself to be different. You're establishing yourself to be the same. When you go in your own route, you are automatically putting out a beacon to identify the people that identify with you, and they will attract them, and they'll want to work with you, and they'll stay loyal to you, and they will help you grow your business.
Yeah, because when you look at it, at each year, you're comparing yourself against yourself from last year or the last 3 years.
Correct.
And that's when you know you get a better sense of how's my company doing.
Yeah, and I cannot compare myself to somebody else.
Yeah.
So my sales are my sales. What I did last month, I can't compare to the month before because there's so many different factors. You can only compare year to year, July to July, and so on and so forth. But I can only compare for what I'm doing, right? So as a public speaker, the way I come off, my charisma, my speaking, the way I do stuff is going to be different than John C. Maxwell, um, a Darren Hardy, a Tony Robbins. If I start looking at them and I'm going to compare myself to them, then essentially I'm becoming a reflection of them, which means I'm not Michael J. Solar. I'm Tony Robbins. So by sitting there saying, hey, I learned a lot of great information, but I'm going to now regurgitate it my way and the way I do things, which means I can help people that would identify with me that might not identify with them. And that is the way of doing any form of business. If you're an electrician, a plumber, don't look at what everyone else is doing. Do it your way. Could you imagine if Walt Disney didn't think about building Disney the way he saw it and just did it the way everybody else had amusement parks back then? Most people don't know, but back when Walt Disney was creating Disney World, there was already amusement parks. They already existed. They were very low level, very affordable for people to just go to. And then he decided that he was going to make an imaginative place where you can forget all your worries and live in imagination. And he didn't care what anybody else said. He didn't care what anybody else did. He didn't care what Six Flags was doing, what SeaWorld was doing, Busch Gardens. No, he just worried about what Disney's going to do. And now there's Disney Worlds everywhere.
And he created the happiest place on earth, right?
That's right. He sells that experience
Yep.
every time.
All right. So so let's talk about competitors. So you started Blue Line Canine Dog Training.
Yes, sir.
So needless to say, there were 1,000 dog trainers. Your mentality going into that was what?
Yeah. So when that started, I was really struggling with PTSD. I was a newlywed. We were trying to supplement some money. My first customer, I literally paid $20 to, and for an attempt to train their dog, because when we were starting Blue Line Canine, dog training was not popular. It was not something that was what it is today. It wasn't out there. It was very far and few between. The only people that really got dog training was service dogs, police dogs, competition stuff. It wasn't really like a norm thing. Petco and PetSmart were just getting their stuff rocking and rolling, so it was a new fad. So I got lucky in a sense of timing. I got lucky there. But the part of the luck that matters was that I had the right attitude to go and apprentice under everybody I could, learn from any opportunity I got from it. And then I used a lot of my old marketing strategies from real estate and my solar cleaning service to market my dog training company. And for a while, I looked at competition. I was constantly looking at other dog trainers, trying to figure out how to do what they're doing. And then one day I woke up and was like, why am I doing that? I'm stressing myself out. I'm chasing a dollar. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever what I'm doing. And I said, you know what? I'm just going to do my own thing. And once I started doing that, my business just blew up. And the hardest part that I ever experienced was saying no to a lot of people, because a lot of opportunities came and I had to tell them no because it went outside of my comfort zone. So it was like, no, that doesn't fit where I'm trying to do with this stuff. And ironically, some things did go the opposite way. And this one you'll probably get a laugh at. So when I started Blue Line, I had a couple of rules. Number one, I was never going to have any employees. Two was I never wanted a brick and mortar. And three, we were meant to be an intellectual company, and that was it. So it was just me training dogs, and that was it. But then I wrote a book trying to alleviate some of my customers, and that brought me more customers, ironically. Uh, and then I had a bunch of people that wanted to train underneath me, so we started doing volunteers where they would apprentice under me. And then because they were volunteering, my company grew again, so it forced me to pay them so they wouldn't leave because I had too many customers to take care of. So that forced me to get employees, breaking my first goal of no employees, right? Uh, we grew to the point where we couldn't cancel lessons because we had too much overlap. So that forced me to get my first brick and mortar, and it just spiraled and spiraled. And the craziest thing is, it goes back to me saying no. So the fact that I had no's in place, but I wanted to always deliver an A+ quality product, it forced me to grow the company in a very controlled and A+ quality result. So anything that would take me away from the A+ quality, the answer was no. Anything that would feed the A+ quality, the answer was yes. And that was our focus the entire time.
Yeah, growth is an interesting question, excuse me, to ask business owners. Do you want to grow your company? And a lot of them, they raise their hand, I think, just because, well, everybody else in the room is raising their hand. I'm going to do that. I think they want to make more money, but
Yeah.
I don't think they want to grow, which is fine. If you want to be a home service company and the most employees you ever want is two, great. So let's figure out how to maximize that. So it's always interesting
Yeah.
conversations. I know you've had many with people who want to grow. It's like, oh, it's going to take that. Or, oh, wait, I've got to give up that. Because
Yes.
to grow, an owner's got to give up something. That's what drives most people nuts.
Yeah. Growth is the hardest thing because we do it backwards. So what does that mean? It's very simple math, right? So growth, most people, like you said, they grow because they want more money. So they're like, if I had another person, I would make more money. And the truth be told is, you should be growing mentally way before you ever have to hire a person. So for us, and I messed up the first time because I never said I wanted employees. So when we started getting employees, it was because we had too many customers coming in, which ironically, I will tell you this right now, I fail forward every time. Every mistake I've made has moved me up, right? So if you want more business, write a book. If you want even more business, do an online program. If you want more better marketing, start a podcast. I did all these things trying to, with the mentality of getting rid of customers, thinking if I gave them a free resource or a cheaper resource, they would go that direction. I failed forward because it moved the desire to work with me up and the notoriety up. But if you are looking to get customers, going back to this, is simple. Growing with an employee, you should have a budget. You should be saving. So then that way, when the employee comes in, they have at least 3 to 6 months before you ever think they would be a multiplier. So when you have the money reserved, then you invest into that employee, bring them in, and that's how you'll start growing your business. And you should easily do it by taking about 5% of your sales to put into a reserve account for that future employee. That future employee should give you about a 10%, which means five for the next employee, five for rebuilding the investment that you already put into it, which that employee would then go from those margins. That's how the first things you want to do mathematically with your numbers. So if you can't sacrifice 5% of your gross sales to invest into a future growth, then you need to reevaluate your budget before you take that step.
Yep, I like that. And just having enough money to start a business, that's a whole other conversation. So, but how did as your company grew, you moved down here, things started happening stuff. How did BNI happen to you, or how did you happen to BNI?
Well, so BNI and I have go back to actually my carpet cleaning days. So up in Tom's River, where I started my carpet cleaning at 16, I joined BNI, which was the great resource. That's actually how I met the owner of Muggsy's Bar and Grill. Was I joined the networking. I was sort of trying to get into the commercial space, so my thought was join a networking group. The networking group I was there with, we met on Route 37 at a Howard Inn. I don't even think they exist anymore. Uh, it was like a little restaurant inside the hotel. Fantastic, great group of people. They were all little mentors to me. They were very impactful members of the Toms River community. They introduced me to so many different people and things. It just kept growing. I think a lot of them were impressed that I was a teenager doing it. So I think that really benefited me. And I've always been somewhat involved in BNI to where I go. Uh, Last in 2025 or 24, I moved down to North Carolina, and when I got here, I was asked to help my franchisee to get the company to grow. And I said, "Hey, all right, no problem. Very simple math. I need to know what the area is." And that involved me directly into BNI. So the first thing we did was join a local chapter of BNI, and that gives me literally the heartbeat of the entire area. So based on BNI, you could tell what type of marketing you're going to need, what's the type of the people that are there. You can interview
Mm.
what they're used to. I would contribute that BNI is your pulse. It's a pulse of a community in the area because you have really good business owners within the group that have the information. Downside, sometimes they don't realize they have the information and you got to like pull it out of them. But the upside is they're right there centralized in this group and you get to talk to them. And you do that through one-on-ones. Uh, Last Saturday on July 4th, a couple of the BNI members of my current chapter, we went and played pickleball, and you get to bond with them and talk to them. And that's when they start to give out a lot of information if you're paying attention.
Yeah, and a lot of times in a BNI chapter, you'll have people that were born and raised in that town or city, and that's really
Yeah.
valuable information as well.
It's a great connector because if you think about it, what you are is a nucleus, right? So your business is your nucleus, is your center. And what you're trying to do is see how far your reach gets to have the impact to make your decisions. So when you think about joining a BNI chapter, you join the BNI chapter to get extensions out without spending the money or the time. It's in a weird way of saying it, it's a cheat code. How do I go from 0 to 10 the fastest way possible? Well, I get in a group of tens. It's simple as that. So BNI provides that resource to you because you join, you get to meet lawyers, you get to meet everybody. And the craziest thing about it is every single person in there, you look at, hold on, let me take a step back here. You have to go in with the right mindset. Some people join BNIs to network for sales. If you go into a networking group, you have to have the right mentality. I'm going in here to learn, connect, and give. So learn because you have the opportunity to talk to other businesses, other business owners, and learn about their business, learn about their people, learn about their tribe. You want to give because you want to give back to the same thing you're getting, which creates a reflection, and that keeps a very open freeway, right? It's like your heart pumping from the arteries to the veins and the veins back to the arteries. It's going to got to go back and forth. If it doesn't, then your body starts to die, right? And you have that resource part. When you're thinking about what you're trying to do there, is you're trying to learn all of these factors in that. If you go into a networking group with the mentality of, I just want sales, then you're not going to get them, because then people don't trust you with their database because they've worked to keep their customers happy and keep their customers trusting them. If they give them to you and they feel all you're going to do is gouge them for money, they're not going to trust you with that, and they're not going to send you referrals. But if you take the time to learn, take the time to give, and support each other, you become unmatched. You'll get referrals, you'll build your community stronger, and you'll continue to grow the group.
Yeah, and
Right there.
most of us know in the other parts of our lives, when we give, we get.
Yeah.
Volunteering somewhere, just helping at school for one of your kids, it comes back, and just trying to get people to understand that is a struggle at times, because I ask them, "Oh, so what do you do outside of work?" "Well, I do this, this, and this." "Oh, how long you been doing that?" 10 years, I love it.
Yeah.
Now we're off and running. So, uh, as a former Marine, what structure and systems did you bring from the military to your businesses?
So the biggest thing I would tell you is the simple phrase is smooth is fast, fast is smooth, right? Um, and you go, what does that really refer to? Anything we do, we have to take our time with. And if you take your time and you perfect your skill, you become extremely fast at it. You're just going to speed through it and deliver a crap product. So, what you're trying to do in business is master one thing. The rest of the stuff goes elsewhere. Once you master that one thing, you become extremely fast at it. Once you become fast at it, it looks easy for other people to do. That's why smooth is fast, fast is smooth. And if you use that across the board, you become untouchable. Once you get those, you go to the next step, next step, next step. That would be the one thing I would tell you I took away from the military. Outside of that, I would have to say is my discipline.
Yep. Now,
Uh,
what was your first when did you see smooth is fast, fast is smooth working, where it's like, "Oh, okay, I get it now," in the military?
well, the military, we do it across the board. So, like how you get out of bed to the way you go to bed, right? So when
Ah,
you wake up in the morning, you make your bed.
yep.
If you get really good at making your bed, then you're wasting less time in making your bed. If you don't put the effort into making your bed, then you're going to have to remake it and remake it and remake it to pass inspections. So when you learn how to master these little things, then you become extremely fast at it. Once you get fast at it, you have more free time. So it's the weirdest thing in the world is that in order for me to be lazy, I had to work really hard. So I have a saying about myself is I'm the laziest, hardest, I'm the hardest working lazy man you'll ever meet because I will bust my butt in the beginning to never have to repeat it later. And it comes from making your bed in the morning. Even to this day, I still make my side of the bed. So like you can tell, like when I get up in the morning, I make my side of bed. Even though my wife might still be in it, I'm still making my side of the bed. And then I start my day. And it gives me a sense of accomplishment
Yep.
before I even left my room. Right? Get out of bed, make that side. Look at that. I already accomplished something before I even got dressed. And from that moment on, you start the winning mentality because now everything you're doing, you're leaving with some sense of completion. The next thing you look at would be is, well, what's that day start with? Starts with making your bed from the military, right? So when you think about anything you have to do, any process, any task, you should break it down to its finest minutia, just like making your bed, which it means you're breaking your goals down to baby steps, giving your sense of accomplishment, giving your brain the wins, which is going to motivate you to keep working harder. And that's one of the factors I think that a lot of people overstep is they set goals and their goals are so big, but they didn't break them down
Yep.
to make them accomplishable. And then they get depressed when they go, I didn't get there. I didn't do this. I didn't get that one. Even in sales, I only worry about one. I don't care how many I need to pay my bills. I only care about one.
One what?
One sale, period.
Okay.
That's all I ever worry about is one. One customer, one sale. And that means once you're talking to me, nobody else matters. I don't care about getting to the next customer because you know what the next customer is going to realize? That when it's their turn,
Yep.
they get everything from me. And you know what happens is over time, everybody has no problem waiting because they know when it's their
Yeah.
turn, they get everything. But if I worry about 10, that means I divided myself up. And that means nobody gets all of it.
Yeah, because a lot of times, just human nature, I want to be heard. Whether you're a customer, I'm a customer of yours, and I'm just not happy. I just want you to hear me why I'm not happy. And usually, when you acknowledge that to the person, you know what, Mike, I hear you. I remember when you were here last week, and then you can break it down and fix it, and it go. That's really what customers want to hear. And a lot of people in customer service, like, no, 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 I'll just take $10 off your bill. No, that's not what I'm unhappy about. So,
We call that the yes end.
the yes end.
That's right.
Right.
So anytime somebody comes up to you and starts talking to you, especially if it's something that you feel a but
Yep.
should happen,
Yep.
right? Instead of saying but, say yes, end. So if, for example, you had mentioned if you have a unhappy customer and that customer complains, you say, yes, I completely understand where you're coming from. Our price is very high. The value of our company is here, and this is what causing the prices to be there. If you would like, I can take some of that out to reduce the cost. Would that be better for you? And 9 out of 10 times that customer will go, nope, I'll pay full price. But if you start, but they're cheaper because
Yep.
the reason why our prices are, and you're defensive, you will lose the customer because the customer now and you are now combative instead of understanding.
Yeah, and this goes back to your carpet cleaning business of you explained the why, and
Mhm.
all of a sudden people are like, "Oh, keep talking,"
Yeah.
because you explained why I don't use water, why I use brushes, things like that, which small business owners should explain why they do what they do and how they do what they do.
The other thing that I think we overstep or overlook a lot is that you're not your customer. So when you're coming up with a sales pitch or a marketing campaign, you shouldn't like it. If you do, you're probably missing the key element to your sale. If you were your customers would be doing your trade. Just put that in the back of your mind.
Okay.
It was a funny thing is because it comes up a lot now that I've grown, especially with the franchising and stuff. I was asked this, and I don't know if we're going to discuss this, but I just want to put it out there because we're right there on the cusp of it. A lot of flyers that Blue Line Canine has, I hate. I can't stand them. Actually, I would probably tell you, majority of the things that I sell or do or are part of, even my Solar Effect brand, I did not choose. I was not a fan of it. I was actually very against um, the branding, the colors, even the names. Um, but I'm not my customer.
Mhm.
So I had to listen to my customers and realize that it's about them and how they will interpret what I'm trying to communicate. So just be mindful of that kind of stuff when you are coming up with your brand, especially if you're a new business owner, coming up with your brand, coming up with your colors, looking at your storylines. People want to be a part of your life and your story, but they need to be attracted to it as well. So
Yeah.
just FYI.
Nobody knows your business like your customers, and if you really wanna know the truth, where you stand, but you gotta be able to take it because if you're gonna ask that question, it's like, "All right, I got my gear on, I'm ready, but I need to
Yeah.
know." So, I'm with you on that. One of my so you mentioned your wife, Tara. One of my favorite questions to ask folks on the show is, how did you and Tara meet, and do you both tell the story the same way?
No, we definitely don't tell the story the same way. But how we met was at a firehouse. So when I would moved to Maryland to become a sheriff's deputy, I went and I wanted to join a volunteer fire department. I was also a volunteer firefighter in New Jersey, and I wanted to get back into it. So the night that I went to the meeting to be put in is when I met my wife, and I saw her sitting on the bumper of the fire truck. Tried to talk to her, and next thing you know, doing everything I can to try to connect with this woman, I fell in love with her right then and there. According to her story, it would be she was sitting on a bumper, and some deputy guy tried talking to her and then wouldn't leave her alone. So either way, the story still works.
But
Fine.
both can be true at the same time,
Yeah,
right?
same time.
But you knew
Perspective.
you weren't leaving till you
Yep.
got your want.
Yeah, and what's crazy is my wife and I were married 13 months to the day of us meeting.
Nice.
We've been together for 19 years. We're going into our 20th year of marriage this year. So we have two kids, two boys. We've had some ups and downs, lefts and rights, but we've been together for 20 years, literally only knowing each other for 13 months
Very
prior
nice.
to the actual wedding. So,
I like that.
yeah.
All right. Couple of tips for business owners. So they've been listening, they've been processing a lot. Now we're going to give them some, not necessarily homework, but things to do or put on paper this week about their business. What's one or two things? I know it's a general question because there's many specifics about a business, but just what are a couple things they should be looking at about their business?
The first thing I would probably tell you is always focus on the immersion to your story. Be open and honest with your customer. So if I had to write everything down, the first place I would start is the four quadrants called the
Mm,
Eisenhower quadrants or Eisenhower boxes.
yep.
You can look it up. It's a really good technique to always structuring your week and making sure that you're focused on the right priorities. Then in marketing, always focus on the immersion of your story. So how to get your story out there as much as possible. That's what it will attract people and get them to identify with you. So those are the two factors that I would tell you hands down. If you start that today, your business will grow immediately.
Yep.
And the third tip is look for the right mentor, not coach. Coach should be task oriented, but mentors are the key people that you identify with that you say their lifestyle is the lifestyle I want. And then you start doing whatever it takes to be around them as much as possible.
Yeah, because somebody is where we want to be.
That's right.
And one day it's them, and one day it's going to be you, and somebody's going to call you up and go, Michael, where's your favorite coffee spot? I'd love to pick your brain if you're open for it. And
That's it.
that's the beauty of it.
Mentors are very easy because they're mostly free.
Mm,
Typically, mentors will look for something for you to show that you're committed to them, which basically means they give you advice. They want to see that you did it. That's the big key to a mentor. If you get a mentor, respect them enough to do what they're telling you to do, even if it doesn't make sense to you, because it will over time. A coach, very different. You should be hiring your coach based on the tasks that you're doing. So I will put out there that a coach is very different than a mentor. But if you do hire coaches, and I do believe you do need coaches, coaches are very valuable when you pick the right one for the task you're working. So, for example, if you're starting a podcast, you should hire a coach that is an expert in podcasting. If you are looking for email marketing, you should hire a coach that's good for email marketing. You shouldn't just hire a coach and hope they know everything. They should not know everything. They should be very dedicated, which means they have a start and end date to the coaching.
I agree with you. All right, so during the show we've been putting Michael's phone number up there. You know what you're going to get when you call him, so please call him with your questions. He will give you some guidance and help you kind of figure out what the next move is. Also, what is the website where they can go learn more about you and the solar effect and what you do?
So the website is thesolereffect.com, which is TheSolerEffect.com, which is really exciting. We have a master class coming up this October, 12, 13, and 14. It's going to be a 3-day, 8 to 9 hour day. We're going to allow for networking opportunities. We're going to have a workshop a part of it, which means everything that we're going to teach you there, we're actually going to help you implement it before you go home. So it's going to be really, really good that way. And it's going to be designed around everything that I've been doing since I was 16 years old to get me in the position I am. So this is going to be a great opportunity. And until the 31st, so the cost of this, you're like, what is the cost? I know you're wondering. It's $19.97, but because of the fact that we are here, we're part of BNI, we want to give back to the people that have supported me throughout the years. My partner and I have decided to give 50% off until July 31st, or all the seats are filled. We have 20 current seats available. 2 have already sold. So I'm sorry, it's 18 available seats. So until July 31st, or the seats are taken, we're going to give you 50% off this. And that means if you believe in us, we're going to believe in you by giving back.
Very nice. I like that. So, folks, I talk about this all the time on the show with regard to BNI. One is shop local, because those are the people invested in you in the community. And you got to hire experts sometimes. You can't do everything. It's like, well, I'll just wing it, see how it goes. Like, nah, some things you can't do, and you can't drop $28,000 into starting your own business and not learn anything along the way. So that's why you need people like Michael. So appreciate you being on the show today. Love the stories and the advice. A lot of good stuff. I've got notes all over the place. So, they can, again, folks, you can go see Michael in his chapter, RD21 Generosity. They meet Monday mornings in Clayton at 8:30. Number of things to learn. Other people that are there you're going to meet, and you're going to learn something there. So, Michael, appreciate you being on the show today, and thanks for the stories and the tips.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
And we'll see everybody next time on Capital to the Coast BNI.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. If you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archives section at nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by StreamingGear.com and DeltaForce.net.